Welcome. This is Healthy by George, and I'm MC. I come to you every Sunday and Thursday. And today I am beyond excited. I am so thrilled to introduce you to this beautiful, amazing, talented guest who I think will just inspire your pants off. How about that? So I want to introduce you to Beatriz Fritschler. She's a social impact strategist. She's an author, a wellness entrepreneur who has really transformed her personal adversity into such a purposefully driven leadership. She survived a life-altering brain aneurysm and has chronicled this journey in a memoir called Embody Joy. What about that title? I'm going to tell you. This is a true journey of a woman reconnecting with her body. She's also, because I love her, she's like me, she's multi-passionate. She's also the founder and CEO of Executive Losers. This is a wellness community for high-achieving women who we severely need this. She empowers professionals to achieve sustainable health and vitality. Her career is not just these two elements, but it spans a beautiful philanthropy, nonprofit leadership, and public-private partnerships. She has a driving initiative that uplifts vulnerable communities, and that's something that's dear to my heart. She's also a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach and a lifestyle and wellness coach. So I want us to embrace her and all that she is. She's an athlete and she's improving her strength. She's bringing joy to the table. And let's just discuss all these things that have transpired in her life to be this inspiration for our health and wellness as we get older. So welcome, Beatriz. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be talking to you today.
Make me sound so good. It is absolutely a pleasure to be with you today. And thank you for sharing your virtual home and the space you have created to promote health with me.
Yes, because your experience that I've been watching literally on LinkedIn has been amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your experience of having an aneurysm. I find that it takes my breath away that you survived an aneurysm, which is to me, I don't know the percentage of people that survive aneurysms, but I do know it's not very high.
Well, I can share that with you because data is power. So yes, actually next Friday, March 7th, or on Friday, March 7th, I am going to celebrate 7 years from my brain aneurysm rupture. I call it my anniversary. Aneurysms, unfortunately, are not detected early because usually you can have your life and a normal life and not know that you have them. I actually had two. One rupture.
Oh, you had two?
Yes, I had two aneurysms. Thankfully, the one that ruptured was the smaller one. An aneurysm is basically a little blister that creates in an artery. And you can have an aneurysm anywhere in the body, but mine were in the brain. And the one that ruptured, it was a Wednesday night. I was in my room, minding my own business. And I felt like my head exploded. And because I was conscious and I could move my arms, I didn't think it was a stroke. Because I hear all these other things about stroke. But it was the worst headache of my life. I immediately became nauseous.
Oh, wow.
Sensitivity to light and stiff neck.
Okay.
I took some painkillers to try to make the pain go away, which didn't work. And it's what you're not supposed to do because many painkillers actually serve as blood thinners to make the bleeding worse. And that happened at 9 p.m. and I did not go to the ER until the next day at 9 a.m.
Wow.
And the reason I went to the ER is because I called my manager and she heard my symptoms. She said, you need to go to the hospital. You're having a reason.
Yes, that's very fortunate because some people, and I think most women, we ignore symptoms that show up and don't take immediate action. We think somehow we can get through it or navigate it on our own because we're always having to power through, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was doing. And I had never been to the ER as a patient. I had taken other people there. When my boss knew about what was going on to me, is because unfortunately she heard the same symptoms from her mother.
Oh,
Her mother did not go to the hospital. She just took something for the pain.
oh,
Passed away 3 days later.
oh my gosh. That's amazing.
So 60% of the people that experience a brain rupture die within
60%.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little more about that experience when you say you had the worst headache of your life? What was that? Did it come on suddenly? Did it just, what was it? Just boom, like it was a sudden sharp pain, or was it dull or aching? What was it?
No, sudden sharp pain, like an explosion. Yes.
Like an explosion. Wow. Yeah. So nothing was going on with your face. You just had the stiff neck.
I got up because I felt it was serious enough. I was in the bedroom and my partner, now my husband, was in the living room. So I got up to the living room to go to tell him what was wrong. And I didn't perceive it myself, but he did say that I was slurring my words.
Ah.
And he actually thought for a moment that I was like drinking by myself in the bedroom. Because he said,
okay.
Drunk. Huh. And on the walk back to the room, I felt a little weak. And he put his arm around me and brought me back to the bed.
Oh.
Yes.
Huh. Wow. So did you think maybe this was a migraine?
Thought it could be a migraine because you get the sensitivity to light, but
right.
And I have had some bad migraines in the past, but you can't compare it. Like,
wow,
how will I know? And I'm like, oh, when we say the worst headache of your life is something you can't even imagine how painful.
So when you went to the emergency room, what happened?
Actually, because I walked into the emergency room and they don't expect you to be so functional. The first person that saw me was a young attending doctor. And he was just going to give me something. He thought it was a stress headache. And was going to just send me home. But thankfully, we had that phone call from my boss, and Charlie, my partner, my husband, was next to me. He said, aren't you going to check for an aneurysm?
Yes. Thank God for Charlie. Yes.
And Simon, there's angels everywhere. I guess that every aspect of my experience was a miracle. The issue that I called, and my boss planted the seed about an aneurysm, and then Charlie demanded checking. There was another more seasoned doctor just passing by. I could see that person with a corner on my eye. And that doctor overheard and walked over, checked my symptoms, and they said, yes, we need to do some scans immediately.
Wow.
When they did, they found that, yes.
They saw it.
Sure. And I already had a brain bleed.
Wow. Wow. So then did they take you right away to surgery?
Not immediately. What they did, unfortunately, the surgeon wasn't available that day for the surgery, but they did a platelet transfusion.
Okay.
Blood a little bit. I had taken a lot of painkillers the night before. I just had a hysterectomy 2 months earlier, so I still had a stronger.
Wow.
I think I had a Percocet.
Oh, you had some Percocet, yeah.
Well, I had some Percocet at home, and I took that for the headache. I think that all those things that I took may have made my blood a little thinner, so the platelet transfusion to thicken my blood. But I had the next day.
Wow.
I had some clipping, which is open brain surgery. They went in, and it actually looks like a paper cut.
I know, right? It's that little metal thing. They go.
It is that, and they kept me in the neurological ICU for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Through an angiogram, they discovered that I not only had that rupture one, but that I had a parallel one on the other side that was much larger.
Wow.
And then 3 weeks later, when they felt that it was safe, they went in and did another clipping. So I had no brain surgeries.
Oh my goodness. And then what was your recovery like? You had the hysterectomy. When was that?
January, and the aneurysm rupture happened in March. So I had to resume activities the week prior to the aneurysm.
Oh my gosh. I had my hysterectomy just now in October 30th. And I totally know how that feels. Recovery from that is a little breathtaking.
Actually, since we're talking about health in general, my entire adult life, I struggled with fibroids and they were very painful and bad at the end. I had this intervention. I had a fibroid embolization.
Oh,
Didn't work, actually made things worse.
worse.
And I developed an endometrial infection,
Oh my goodness.
which I know now that it is related.
Yes.
I had fibroids very large, and embolizations do not work if you have multiple fibroids.
No.
So not only they shrunk for a little bit and then they came back angry.
Bigger and madder.
Yeah. Angry. I call it the revenge of the fibroids.
God bless.
Endometrial infection that was antibiotic resistant.
Oh my gosh.
So I spent a whole year with fever and issues, and then I decided to get the hysterectomy. So I felt, to be honest with you, after you get rid of the initial pain from the hysterectomy, like at the second week of the hysterectomy, I felt like a new woman already.
I'm sure. What a difference.
Yeah, between overcoming the infection and also I was having periods that were 10 days long, twice a month.
Oh, listen, I felt like I had an alien because first of all, I never went through menopause, period, because of this. I also had all my life these very large fibroids. I didn't have a lot of pain, but I had the crazy periods. It was like, oh my gosh, when do they show up? How long do they stay? You can't live like that. And I don't know about you, but I postponed a hysterectomy for 4 or 5 years, because it's a little scary. It's a little scary that's a big surgery.
Yeah. And you know, as women, we connect our womb so much to our femininity.
Yes.
We hear so many things about that. The infection made it a non-negotiable because nothing was working. I was feeling sick all the time.
Oh my.
Even though I was overweight, I was also heavily anemic. I was eating animal protein and I had a B12 deficiency because the nutrients were getting out of my body faster than they were going in.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you, we have more in common. I have what's called a Mediterranean anemia, so that my red blood cells are smaller than normal.
Oh.
And so for many years, I suffered with the same issue with being anemic. And then on top of that, the long bleeding periods. I agree with you. Suddenly, what made me bite the bullet is I had read an article in the New England Journal that even though I was going in and having these what we call vaginal ultrasounds to check for the lining in the uterus to see if it was overgrowth or if you had any precancerous cells, they shared that was not a very good indicator for cancer or uterine cancer. So I decided I don't want to be someone who has the potential for uterine cancer. So I decided to bite the bullet and just go ahead and do it. And it's not simple. But I have to say, I agree with you. I feel better now.
I was going to ask, how do you feel? And it is
so much better.
And if you are into the chakras and all those things, you feel, oh my God, am I going to lose my creativity?
Yeah. Am I going to lose my sexual desire? I'm going to tell you, I was really worried about all that. You want to be a whole person, even though you've had the surgery. You still want to come out feeling like you're still a whole person.
I will tell you, when you don't have those huge tumors that were actually pressing down in my vagina, actually sex is way better.
There you go. That's the key. I will see now that I'm not risking having all of a sudden this weird bleeding show up. Sex is so much better. Thank you, God.
It is wonderful to be a member of the White Pants Club. That's what they my periods will ruin. Not only it will interfere with a lot of things, but it will ruin every vacation. And now I think some of the things that I have been able to do with my body, like long distance running.
Oh, listen.
Probably I wouldn't do with those long bleeds.
Oh my goodness. I have to say, your journey sounds like it really brought you full circle. And so is this what really launched you into a real health journey after your recovery?
I was very hopeful after the hysterectomy because my uterus was the size of a 6 months pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
I had a very large stomach and I was overweight. Well, I was all pumped up when I got cleared to resume exercise. And then that's exactly when the aneurysm happens.
Wow.
I survived the aneurysm.
God bless.
That. And then I was released from the hospital physically and cognitively intact.
Amazing.
I did not need rehab.
Wow.
After I was released from the hospital.
That's phenomenal.
And that's less than a 3% chance. I had
Yes. Oh my.
Before I was wanting to do some things for my body for aesthetics, but at this point it became like, wow. And I always spoke up with it.
I can understand.
I was like, wow, this body that I have been hating, neglecting, judging, this body is amazing. This body is stronger than I thought. And I'm just going to take care of it just out of gratitude. That's how my health journey started. And to be honest, at that point, I had no desire to lose weight. I'm like, I'm going to be body positive.
Okay.
I love my body as it is. And I started moving every day. That was my first commitment. Then I started trying to eat healthy, not necessarily doing any portion control, but trying to eat whole foods.
Yeah.
And experimented in the kitchen a lot, fell in love with cooking.
Yeah.
Doing food prep, so I will have readily made food at home, because I realized that even if I eat a salad out in a restaurant and a salad at home, my body feels very differently when it's homemade food.
Yes.
So I tried to have about 90% of my meals at home. I engaged in the process, and that's why the book is called Embody Joy of Embodying. I started, instead of listening to external noise, to communicate with my body directly and ask my body, okay, you ate that. How do you feel? Okay, you felt really good after you ate that, and I had a lot of energy after I ate that. So I'm going to keep eating that. That gave you a little pleasure when you ate it.
Yeah.
But the truth is that you crash later. Soft-brain meals would give me a headache.
Yeah.
I let my body tell me what was working for it. I also was going to therapy, and I found a therapeutic modality that really worked for me. My body was still holding on to a lot of trauma from childhood, and the somatic therapy and EMDR.
Oh, EMDR. That's wonderful.
Yeah, was extremely helpful for me. So my body became the center of my healing, emotional, spiritual, and physical.
So did you take time to journal what your body was sharing with you?
Yes.
So did you take like a specific time, or did you just let it tell you as you thought things showed up, and then you would maybe write about it later or in the moment? Which
I was at the end of the day, and it was a very organic process. I didn't follow it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And that's amazing. And that was, so many people are hesitant. I remember when I went to therapy the first time, everyone, because I'm from the deep South, everyone looked at me like, why are you in therapy? What? Do you really need therapy? And I'm like, listen, we had the same childhood. We all should be in therapy. I'm just telling you. I don't know why you don't go do some therapy, because I recognize I'm hurting severely. I'm hurting myself, both mentally and physically, from our childhood. And so we need to show up in therapy to get it sorted out.
Yeah. And I have done talk therapy before, but before my aneurysm, I felt really, because my body was in such a bad shape. I was having so many issues from the B12 deficiency, for example. I felt depressed.
Yes.
Because I was going through so many challenges, high blood pressure, the fibroids, the infection, all those things were happening. And I was my late 30s, early 40s, and I was feeling terrible. But because of all that, plus the emotional issues that I was dealing with, I felt like I just needed to find a way to bridge the connection between my body and my soul. And the funny thing is that the night before my aneurysm, I hadn't started group therapy. And that's all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one of the things that I said in my group therapy was my first group session. I said, I want to be more open-minded, and I want to be more open-minded, and I want to feel more connected to people. And the next day, I have a brain aneurysm. And the day after, I get my head open. I'm like, okay, God. When I say open-minded, I have my head open, but sometimes you have to be careful what you put out.
You didn't want to be literal.
Well, then I was more connected to people because I was in the hospital for 20 days. In those 20, I felt, thankfully, it didn't happen during COVID. I felt so loved. And I had a little bit of a conflicting relationship with my mom. And Charlie and I were in a bad space when that happened. And all those issues melted away. None of them there. And I had people from all parts of my life, my professional, my family, showing up. The security guards thought that I was a celebrity.
All right. I love that.
Because I was getting so many visitors. It was just absolutely amazing. I felt truly loved. And it was a
lot of healing when someone brings a lot of love to the table. That's such an amazing healing energy to have so many people surround you in love. That's amazing.
And I think a lot of the challenges I was having was from feeling non-deserving. Or I don't know if I felt unloved, but I felt maybe unlovable. I was more willing and able to accept that I was a lovable human being after that experience.
I think a lot of people suffer from not feeling lovable, that we judge ourselves or have so much negative criticism going on in our heads that beat ourselves up before we ever give ourselves a chance to love or be loved. But let's just pivot a little bit. So what came first? Your book, Embodied Joy, or Executive Losers, this company you've launched, or did they happen together?
Executive Losers came first. Eventually, in my wellness process, I learned that I was pre-diabetic.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized, okay, I was trying to be healthy without losing weight, but I had to embrace that weight loss needed to happen. And that's when I went on my weight loss journey and I lost over 55 pounds. And I got to a healthy weight for the very first time in my adult life.
Wow.
And funny enough, I didn't look aesthetic this time.
Okay.
Remember, I told you I had a very large stomach because of the fibroids. At 45 years old, 44, I reached my goal weight around 44. I had visible ab muscles.
Ah, there you go. Hey, that's amazing.
For the very first time ever.
That's fantastic. That's a win-win.
Because I was working on making my core strong. Pilates became, after the hysterectomy, actually, I embraced Pilates because...
Yes, Pilates is amazing.
I feel very weak in my torso after the hysterectomy. So I was just doing Pilates once a week and losing the weight and doing other kinds of activities. I developed muscle in new places.
That's lovely.
That was very interesting. So anyway, I went through my glow up.
Okay.
And a lot of women that have been part of my life that are executives in nonprofit, in philanthropy, government, were like, oh, we want what you have.
All right.
How can we experience the type of transformation you're going through or you went through? We started an accountability group. It was just an accountability group. We had a WhatsApp chat. And just by coming together and committing to our wellness individually and as a group, people started having the same changes I went through without any kind of formal structure.
But just coming together and focusing.
To say, we're going to focus on our wellness. We would troubleshoot. Oh, I have a trip for business and I'm concerned about the kind of food there. We will troubleshoot together.
How many people was it, just out of curiosity?
When we first started, so it was about 8.
Okay, that's perfect.
Long story short, I saw what was going on. I went to a conference on business development and marketing with my husband, and I said, hey, maybe this is a business. And that's how the formal Executive Losers was born, because all these women were executives, many with a weight loss goal. And that's it. And
you know how important this is? I'm going to tell you, I work in the medical field. Do you know how much we neglect ourselves in these high-level positions in the medical field? It is so important to bring this kind of I think, focus to people who are executives, who have tight schedules, who have pressure and stress in so many directions, to have a place that they can go to be safe and accountable. That's what this sounds like.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to add structure to it. That's when I got all the certifications, personal trainer.
All right.
And I just finished my lifestyle and wellness coaching certification from Harvard. I wanted to have the credentials to, even though I had learned a lot from my own,
Right.
but I wanted to have the credentials to really bring evidence-based information and support that was really easy to integrate into our lifestyle to executive losers. That happened. And we are a digital community. We do have many members just because you grow where you are that are
Right.
in a state area, but we are able to do webinars and have sessions that bring people from all over the United States and sometimes out of the country.
This is fantastic.
Yes. And we're growing. We're leveraging technology, AI to develop content. We have asynchronous courses, webinars. I have an AI clone.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. Oh,
Yeah.
how does that feel?
Interesting. So she sounds like me, but instead of having the Spanish accent, the Latin accent, she has a little bit of a British accent.
Okay, that's a little strange, but that's okay.
But sometimes she sounds smarter and more engaging than me. So sometimes I get a little jealous.
Okay.
Like all my course materials, everything from my certification programs and the things that I have learned through my own journey and with working with the members of Executive Losers, I downloaded that. I keep refining that tool because I'm one person and I still have my job as social impact executive. I'm leveraging technology to maximize the ability to support.
I totally hear you. I think that's remarkable. And we're going to have the connection of your executive losers in the show notes because we definitely want people to know what a wonderful, remarkable, engaging platform. I've taken a brief look at some of the things that you offer, and it just seems amazing to me. I'm thrilled that you've made this available. So we need more accountability groups like this that help us to recognize that we're highly intelligent, highly diversified in our lives, but we're challenged by finding time and focus for our own well-being.
The peer support model, it's great because there's a lot of shame and guilt when it comes to not treating our bodies well. So we internalize it. We say, oh, I hear this from people all the time. I'm not disciplined like you. And I'm like, I wasn't. It was feeling good that motivated me to keep doing it. It was the commitment to say thank you to my body that made me keep doing it. This morning, I had to go night out last night.
Okay.
And I was a little tired because I went to bed later than usual. But I'm training for a half marathon. So I
Oh my God.
put on my sneakers. I went out and I surprised myself because after my body warmed up, I had so much energy and I felt so good exercising. And you may not feel like it at the beginning, but you always, anytime you invest in exercising, you always feel better after. It's just,
Listen, movement is king for the brain. Movement is king for the body. Moving is just king for life. That's the truth.
and right now, I work out for my well-being, for the visible abs, even though I love having them, but really it's for my well-being because I couldn't cope with life. I become more emotionally stable. Like I'm really postmenopausal. I get the hot flashes, but
Oh dear.
that's the only symptom I have.
Oh, that's good.
So I don't have brain fog. Actually, I feel my memory is better now than it was when I was in my 20s.
Wonderful.
Sleep like a baby, have flashes and all.
Okay.
I wake up, I drink some water, go back to sleep. And I don't have any of the mood swings or anything like other women experience with menopause because of, I think, is because of the exercise. Because a lot of the women in my family had a lot of issues during menopause. I think able to curb some of those negative symptoms because of exercise.
That's amazing. So can we just segue just for one little second because you were in the New York Marathon. How was that running the New York Marathon?
As someone that started running at age 45, I never ran, not even as a child. I used to run half a block and feel like I was going to die.
Okay.
Amazing. I've been surrounded as a New Yorker by a lot of runners and a lot of friends that have done that. And it felt like the ultimate challenge. So for me, was proving to myself that I could do the impossible.
That was so impressive. I don't think I would ever do that, frankly, because I hate running. But that's because I have a history of playing basketball and doing sprints when I was in high school, which I absolutely hated because they would make us sprint until we vomited. It was just the worst. Don't ever do that.
To be honest with you, a lot of physical education out there. And I grew up in Dominican Republic, so I didn't go to... I have very negative experience with physical.
Yeah.
Sometimes makes you hate movement instead of love it.
I know, you're right. And so now we're going to segue. What inspired you to take your story, your amazing story, and write a memoir? And the title, Embody Joy, I'm going to tell you, when you put that out, I was like, yes, that is the perfect title.
Well, I told you that it was my process of healing through somatic therapy and reconnecting with my body, movement, nutrition was all about learning how to engage in communication with my body. And for me, embodiment is that. Is really being in your own skin and talking to your body and learning to have basically a two-way communication with it. Because you want to tell you what it wants, what it doesn't want, what works for it, and what doesn't work for it. And that's not always the same. As I'm getting older, actually my A1C levels were a little high now in my last physical, even though I have adapted this healthy lifestyle. So I'm tweaking my diet a little bit and also managing my stress level. I think that the changes in my A1C were because of high stress last year. So that process, I felt so much joy and happiness, and I being able to show up in the world in such a much better and joyful way.
Yeah.
When you find the right drug, the right drug in my body, which was communication with my body, you want to share it with the world. You want everybody else to feel like you feel. So I had to write this book, and I had the title right off the bat.
That's marvelous.
For 3 years, but definitely executive losers compel me to push through. And I use some AI tools. So I learned
good.
Right?
Nothing wrong with that.
Because I felt that this was a way to bring the message across about how wellness transformed my life and could transform others' life. Not only giving you a healthier, stronger body, but a healthier mind, healthier relationships, healthier.
Yes. It's a real inspiration.
And professionally, because a lot of the neglect I did as an immigrant was because I had to buckle down, learn English, get my degrees, work hard, hustle. I actually am more productive now. I'm more creative now, more ambitious and willing to take chances now because I feel more grounded and stronger in my body.
My goodness. To me, that's the biggest message that you can bring, because I think for me, lived for many years, well into my 50s, really not living in my body at all. I was just a walking head.
To get mind cracked open to get out of it.
And it took me a long time to realize that. I had a long history of being overweight and a lot of shame and guilt from the medical profession about being overweight at the age of 10. That's when I started like ballooning, and everyone just couldn't figure it out. And it's just been a challenge. And I'm one of those people that people go like, why is she overweight? We don't know. And so it's just been a long history of my life until the GLP-1 drugs, and they really turned a knob for me in the brain and gut as far as those hormones are concerned. And so it's been amazing. But back to you. Where do you see this passion of yours, this beautiful book, your company, and your future going?
I don't know. I'm open to whatever the divine wants to take me. I think that when I plan things, sometimes I limit myself. Life has shown up bigger and better than I imagined, especially when I'm open. Entrepreneurship is really scary to me.
Yes.
The one that has always been in mission-driven jobs. In executive process is mission-driven, but I'm hoping to make this a profitable business. We're not there yet.
Yes.
Startup. So I'm hoping to make this a profitable business. So having that business mindset, profit-driven mindset, bringing it together with the mission is interesting, exciting, but the business component, the selling, the marketing, is a little challenging for me, but I'm learning to get out of my comfort zone. So my goal is to create a world where every type A, high-driven woman can also feel grounded and healthy in her body. You and I have had a little bit of a conversation about this, about GLP-1. I changed my health with behavior, and when the GLP-1 drugs came out, I had a little bit of a discomfort with it. But I understand and respect that there are tools that support a lot of people. But I think even the programs that promote, like Weight Watchers was one of the tools that I used for my weight loss, B1. Many of those programs are now encouraging connecting GLP-1 use with behavior modification, because you still need to focus on what type of body.
You can't do these drugs without behavior modification. And I think what was such a revealer for me is I had all the behavioral modification stuff in place, and I would get to a certain set point with my weight and it would never move. I don't care what I did. Moving, eating, it didn't matter. And so when I finally convinced a physician to see the whole of me, and I said, I think this drug would be good for me, they said, yeah, I think so too. Because I wasn't quite pre-diabetic, but I was right on the border. I think I was at like a 5.3 or 5.2 A1C. It was really close.
That's really healthy though.
Not really. The truth is you really want to have it as low as possible. But I was not. So they were like, let's do it. And because the risk is so high, diabetes is a serious disease. My father had it. He was in denial for many years with it. He ended up going blind in one eye, having severe kidney damage. And I witnessed very firsthand with my father suffering with diabetes until he passed. And he passed, I think, in a rather young age for him because of it, and had some complications with his heart because of it. I'm very pro doing anything and everything you can to keep from becoming diabetic. And it's a challenge because I talk about this a lot on this channel. We have processed food thrown at us everywhere we go, everywhere. It's in everything. And it's very difficult to not be tempted by many of the things that maybe we grew up with, or the snacks, or the this, or the that, and to really cultivate changing your taste buds. It takes time and diligence. And so you're remarkable, frankly. I just see that you're remarkable. And if you stay open to where you're headed, it's going to be big, because I think you're going to be a phenomenal motivational speaker. I see you being up there with Mel Robbins. I see you as the Hispanic Mel Robbins. How about that? I'm going to hold that in my intention for you.
Giving good bumps.
Good. Because
I'm listening to her audiobook right now.
Oh, the let them theory?
Because I really feel that a lot of the challenges I like my A1C going up, I think it had to do with my stress levels last year. And not because I was juggling a career and a business, but I was dealing with some personal issues and staffing issues that were very challenging, that felt very personal, that they're still there. Somebody said to me, one of my executive friends, one of my executive accountability peers said to me, oh, you have to listen to this book. And it has been...
I've already listened to it 3 times. I'm going to just tell you. I've listened to the Audible book 3 times. In fact, I was listening to it this morning because I don't think we, as, like you said, A personality people, we really don't let ourselves recognize that we need to do more of the let me, which she talks about, how we need to really listen, like you talked, listen to ourselves, recognize ourselves, and really know that we need to hear our own voice into what's good and what we need. I have to tell you, Beatriz, if you had one thing to share with people, what would it be? as we close this wonderful discussion?
That you're worth loving.
Okay. I love that.
And the first person that you need to allow to love you is yourself.
Bravo. I just thank you so much. This has been just an amazing discussion, and I'm thrilled to feature you on this podcast or whatever this is on YouTube that I'm doing. I just plunge in. I don't have much of a plan either.
Listen,
Be well.
Let our hearts guide us. That's all that matters.
You know what? Passion has always driven me. So that's what this is. It's a passion thing. Please be well, my friends. We have this one precious life. Let's live it intentionally as we get older. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.